Eagle Eye Detective Agency. Jake here.
Jake, can you come down to the dog show in Taylor Park? Something really weird's going on down here.
Sure, Nancy. What makes you think something's wrong?
All of the top dogs at the show have been acting very strangely. I think someone's tampering with the contest.
We'll be right there. Come on, let's go. The annual Dog Fancier Show is a big deal in Richview. It's just a local match, but some of the dog owners get very competitive. Dr. Canara, the astronomer from Mount Vernon College, is the club's president. She did the judging today. Let's talk to her.
It is a shame. Those dogs have done really well in other competitions, but I had to judge them on today's behavior. The dogs here are judged on both looks and obedience. Failure in either category disqualifies the dog. The 3 dogs that did best in looks failed obedience, so I awarded the first prize to Mrs. Harper's Pekingese Fifi. I saw Mrs. Preston, the owner of Pretty Puppy Obedience School by the woods, just after the trials, and asked her how she thought her dog pupils could have done so badly. She said, "They are not my pupils anymore. You can ask Randy Hicks of Moondog Academy about this fiasco." She was positively rude about it.
Stay away from her, children. Kiki's as nervous as can be after today's fiasco, and who can blame her? I can't understand what made her run away. She's never disobeyed me in competition before. Today I told her to sit, and suddenly she perked up her ears and dashed from the ring.
Wait, who's Kiki? The booth says your dog's name is Princess Titania.
Princess Titania is Kiki's formal name, the name under which she's registered with the American Kennel Club. Her call name, the name we call her at home, is Kiki. I can tell you this, I'm not taking Kiki back to Moondog Academy. When Kiki was with Mrs. Preston's dog school, she was a model student. I think that man Randy Hicks has had a bad influence on her.
I'm really happy for Mrs. Harper and her dog, but I can't help feeling sad, too. Misa's won Best in Breed prizes before, but we worked extra hard in obedience school for this combined competition. It was just so unlike him to dash from the ring that way. He responded as if he heard someone calling him, but I couldn't hear anything. I shouldn't have pulled Misha out of Mrs. Preston's school, Pretty Puppy. Moondog Academy's training methods just sounded so much kinder, and Randy Hicks charges a lot less than Mrs. Preston.
I was taking some pictures of the show for our school paper, the Tiger Press, when I noticed that some of the dogs were acting strangely. During the obedience trials, 3 of the dogs just ran right off the stage, dragging their owners towards the woods. They did well on conformation, the part of the show where their looks are compared to their breed standards. But when it came to the obedience trials, they just ran off, ruining their chances to win. Those 3 dogs were bound to win ribbons. It can't be a coincidence.
You know, Nancy, sometimes animals aren't in the mood to do everything just the way we want them to.
No, Jake, not this time. There were 3 different dogs, all well trained, all doing things they never do. Something's going on.
Mrs. Garcia must be out for the day, but Mr. Lightfoot is here. He's intense. He writes science fiction and spy novels for a living and volunteers at the library when Mrs. Garcia is out.
Hi, kids. Mrs. Garcia is off at a state chess tournament, so I'm filling in for her. If I can help you find anything, just let me know.
Actually, we're looking for some information on dog training and obedience. Do you have anything like that?
Well, you've come to the right place. My friend Randy Hicks is a dog trainer. He's been here all day doing research for his new book on dog astrology. I bet he'd love to help.
You must be Jake. Jay's told me all about you. Are you on one of your investigations today? You both have such curious auras.
Yes, Mr. Hicks. We're trying to find out what made Misha, Kiki, and Shadow misbehave at the dog obedience trials today.
Please, Jake, call me Randy. It's odd that those dogs would perform badly. I expected them all to win ribbons. Of course, how they did is not as important as how they felt about it. I only just opened my school, so they've been my pupils for only a few weeks. But they were all trained at Pretty Puppy by Mrs. Preston before that. She's a pretty intense woman, believes in a different kind of training entirely. It's very different from the nurturing, spiritual education I hope to give my pupils, but each to his or her own.
Mrs. Harper and Mrs. Preston have been friends for years. They met at a finishing school in England. They must be celebrating Fifi's victory together.
Naturally, I'm pleased for dear Linda. Fifi's a fine example of her breed. What a shame that my 3 former pupils behaved so badly. All I can say is that it must have been the influence of that strange person, Randy Hicks. His techniques are so bizarre. Did you know he makes training recommendations based on the so-called vibrations he gets from a dog? The man is insane! I see you're admiring my pendant. It was a gift from the Duke of Crumpet, a silver dog whistle. It's silent, of course. I used one very much like it to train his champion hounds.
Hello, children. Do come in. Let me show you Fifi's first prize ribbon. It's her first, and she's so proud. Aren't you, my little Snooky Wookums? Mummy's little Sweetums has earned her favorite treatsy weetsy, haven't you, Angelkins? Oh, yummy wummy, eat that lovely steak all up. Mummy's so proud of you. As you can see, we sent my precious Fifi to the finest obedience school in this state. That was before Mrs. Preston opened Pretty Puppy, of course.
The folks at Creepy Critter's Pet Shop know a lot about dogs. Maybe they can help us with our case.
I just came from the dog show in the park. I don't want to be some kind of spoiler sport, but I think there was some monkey business with the dogs. My little Chato was in the ring doing just fine when all of a sudden all the dogs start this whining. My Chato, he starts pulling me out of the ring towards the woods. I can't believe that Chato would disobey me. He was the star pupil in Mrs. Preston's obedience class. I should write the bullet and re-enroll him there.
I'm surprised those dogs behaved so badly at the dog show. They've all been pretty well trained. I know that Misha, Kiki, and Chatter were all students of Mrs. Preston's Pretty Puppy School until just recently. She's an excellent trainer. She used to train hunting dogs in England. That's very difficult. It's called field training. In field training, the trainer uses whistles and calls to teach the dogs to help a hunter. Calls are words they shout to the dogs. Mrs. Preston uses the silent dog whistle here in town in her field training so that the neighbors aren't disturbed. I can understand why she was so upset when all 3 of the dogs left her school to go to Moondog. Randy Hicks, the owner of Moondog Academy, charges a lot less for his lessons. I've also heard some people worry that Mrs. Preston was too rough with their dogs. Randy Hicks is more gentle with the dogs he trains.
These are some of our hottest items. Cuttlefish bones are good for parakeets to scratch their beaks on. Silent dog whistles are used by a lot of our customers to call their dogs. Dogs can hear these silent whistles from a really long way away.
I wonder what wacky new invention Professor Krank is working on now. He can be pretty, well, cranky if he's busy, so we'd better be quick.
Ah, kids! Just in time to see my latest experiment. This is the invention that will make my fortune. Meet Polly, the electronic parakeet. Marvelous, isn't it? A pet parakeet that doesn't strew birdseed all over the house or dive bomb the cat. You control her by whistling. One toot on this whistle and she'll fly up and perch on your shoulder. A second toot and she sings for you.
What in the world is that?
I took her to Taylor Park earlier today to test her response to my whistle commands, but we had to come back here. There was a dog show going on in the park, and someone there was using a silent dog whistle. I could tell because even though the sound was too high-pitched for me to hear, Polly's sensitive audio circuits picked it up.
I think we've got this dog mystery by the tail. Pick the 4 clues that you think best explain what really happened at the dog show. Those are the clues we needed to sniff out the culprit. Who do you think is responsible for all those puzzled pooches? You've got it! Mrs. Preston is the canine confuser. Let's check the evidence. Nancy told us that Kiki, Misha, and Shadow had all tried to drag their owners off the stage and into the woods during their obedience trials. Dr. Kanara told us that she had noticed Mrs. Preston in the woods at the dog show and that Mrs. Preston was very terse when she spoke to her. Mr. Grimaldi told us that Mrs. Preston had trained each of the 3 failing dogs in field work with a silent whistle. He also mentioned that she was very upset that the 3 dogs had left her school to join Moondog Academy. At the library, we learned that dogs can hear sounds made by a silent dog whistle. Those sounds are at too high a frequency to be picked up by human ears. Professor Krank told us that he had to take his new invention, the robot parakeet, out of Taylor Park earlier today because someone was using a silent dog whistle that disturbed her sound-activated circuits. Mrs. Preston wears a pendant that is actually a silent dog whistle. She told us that she had not been able to make it down to the park today, but that was a lie. You figured it out. Mrs. Preston was furious that some of her pupils left her for the cheaper rates and gentler training at Moondog Academy. She was trying to make Randy Hicks look bad by sabotaging all of his students at the dog show.